Let's go.
Open it up.
Open it up. I gotta step off camera. Let me grab my drink. I got one right here.
I
There
got
it is.
the Starry today. Shout out to what was it? Sierra Mist. It's now Starry. But of course,
This one, yeah,
you got to pour it into the the the
to the
best
glass.
drinking glass in the history of mankind.
Let me cheers you, brother. Let me get that crack real quick. Ready? Oh, how nice was that? Here it is, brother. We'll get a cheer
Shout
mid
out
pour.
Polar. Shout out Philly drinkers.
You
Shout
know,
out our bets hitting.
we
Shout
haven't
out
done it.
Bert, my man. What a
Cheers.
week.
Yeah, we gotta give them a rundown. I think it's time also to bring back Am I Dumb this episode, dude.
Okay.
Because I got a big Am I Dumb. And it's related to something that you brought up. But all right, moving on. Let's jump right into it. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's another episode of Cold Ones Conversations. We love you. You love us. Like our stuff. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Share it out. More bets coming this week. I went 5-2. Trilly 3-4 this past week. The bets were rolling. The parlay was that close to happening, but it's because they didn't have Joey Flack in with the Browns. We're going to get into that later. We got to get Trilly's rundown of the week. The man has been one of the luckiest sons of bitches you've ever seen. But that's fine. He's an underdog. He deserves it. He deserves his moment. You know what I'm saying? Um, but
Great
first,
week.
dude, you
Great
want to
week last
you
week.
want to you
And
want to
we're
jump
still
into your
rolling.
you want to jump into your week quick, and then we'll do some college football.
Yeah, let's hit it real quick. All right.
Let's
So,
hit it.
we started off on last Sunday. Birds getting a big come from behind overtime victory over the Buffalo Bills. I mean, they just keep proving week after week after week after week that they're the best team in the NFL. So that starts the week off. All right. Then we make our way into the work week. It was all good. Go in, get some hours, hang out at the station, and then Wednesday comes around. The bosses, they hooked me up. They're like, hey, well, for your birthday, we'll give you a pair of Burt Kreischer tickets. They know I love the man. They know we're a huge Machine fan. They hook us up. The Machine comes in to the station all Wednesday and hangs out all morning. I'm there hanging out with his assistant Peter, just talking, shooting the shit the whole morning. And Peter goes, hey, like, we're having an after party after the show. Feel free, give me your name and stuff, and I'll leave stuff at will call for you. You can come to the after party. We go, and Harry can't make it. I'm like, dude, are you coming with me or not? He's like, I can come for the show, but I can't stay for the after party. I'm like, buddy, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to move on and find somebody else. Like,
And did I not accept it? I
no,
said,
you
of course.
accepted it. You accepted your fate, which I really appreciate because it was an
Yes.
absolutely amazing time. I mean, go check out the Instagram. I mean, I'm shirtless with the Machine, hammering beers, shotgunning beers all night till like 1:30 in the morning with the fucking Machine. It was absolutely amazing. So much fun. And then we go the next day, Thursday night football. I literally text my buddy Greg, who was there with me. I said, let's cook up a long shot parlay. We've been so lucky this week and so fortunate. Let's see if we can keep this thing rolling even more. And it comes down to it. We miss a 10-leg parlay for $850 by one passing yard from Dak Prescott and 3 receiving yards from Tyler Lockett. I'm sending it to Harry. He's like, why didn't you send this to me earlier? He's just like, and then he goes to me before we get on the pod. He's like, I'm kind of happy you didn't win it because you've been too lucky all damn week. So that's how the week's been going. We're looking to stay hot, and we're on one right now. We're
We're on
absolutely
one. That's the only way to say it. We're on one. This is a show of winners. We've told you since the inception of last year. And by the way, I didn't introduce it the right way. This is the Brendan the Bod Patron. Dude, the amount of that slid up on both the apology text that I reposted of calling you the Bod, and then number 2, that I reposted your post of you and Bert. That is all. It's one of the most all-time photos. If you've not seen it, go check out Triller's Instagram. Go check out the Cold Ones Instagram. Follow us both. Go check out Harry Heap's Instagram. We are on one, dude. And each other's individual success is our success. But I won't lie. I didn't want you to have too much success. I wanted you to be an 8 out of 10, not a 9.5. You got to see Bert. You got to get to go backstage. You don't need 800. You'll get it next week. You're hot. You are. And that's the one thing that I will say. Trilly's same game parlays are hot. They are sizzling. They're on the grill. They're like a Wawa Sizzler biscuit with extra cheese. Sometimes you do 2. You get the 69-cent pretzel. with inflation, I've heard it's back up to 89 cents. But
Oh
hey,
yeah, the soft pretzel. Yeah, it's a crime.
so let me break it down real quick. I'm just gonna give a quick
Maybe
story.
you get like the nugs too on the side too at the Wawa. You know, you always gotta grab that.
Let me give the ladies and gents a quick story about when I used to be a bigger fellow. You know, so people who are close to me, they've seen the high school photos. They know what I used to rock. And I used to always say sports is what kept me from being a fatty, but I was always husk, right? So I would open every day, basically going to high school, with a sausage, egg, and
Mm-mm.
Wawa. Washing by, obviously, you got to have the side. What's the side, Harry? You're getting the hash brown. You're putting the hash brown on. I include that as part of the sandwich. That's not a side. The 69-cent pretzel before inflation, before the Biden era, before inflation, we got the 69-cent pretzel. But Trill, what am I washing that down? The only thing that a true Wawayan
You gotta get the
washes
iced
anything down
teas.
with is the chocolate milk.
Oh, or the
The
chocolate milk.
OG chocolate milk. That
Yeah.
was a standard back in the day. And I thought to myself, hey, my grandfather, he had open heart surgery by 60 years old. Do I want to go that route? No, I don't. I had to cut him off. And that was a few years ago. And if I ever decide to trade in the Polar for an alcoholic bottle, I think I might go back down that route of eating. But we move on to the next. That's a little insight into the Hollywood stage. All right, dude. Let's talk about it. We're gonna get into both of the wins from last week by your birds, by my birds. I think that this show is the first one to say it. It's a bird v bird Super Bowl. We know it. We're going. It's solidifying that path. We're gonna get into both wins, but first, dude, we got to talk about the top of mind of what's going on in football, and that's the college football playoff, dude. Last year, of 4 teams making the playoff before they go to 12, IL is fully, fully, fully in the league right now of college football, of keeping players, retaining players. You got guys like Caleb Williams who are probably going to come back for another year when he's playing at an NFL level. You got guys like Shadur Sanders who could absolutely go to the NFL right now. I compare Shadur. I think that Shadur's playing style, though Colorado did not have the year that a lot of big fans wanted to see, Shadur is playing at that Russell Wilson back-to-back Seahawk championship level. He extends the pocket like no other. His deep ball is ridiculous. His vision is out of control, and he is just an absolute on-field captain. He's playing like Russell Wilson did in his prime. But he's another guy who's coming back because of NIL. College football is here to stay. They're evolving. We'll go into when the summer and we have left sports, we'll go into what I think it means of NIL, what's going to happen to the NFL level. But let's talk about it, dude. What do we think the committee's going to do, and what do we think should actually happen? I'm going to tell you what I believe is the most competitive Final Four for this year. That's going to
I
make
know
the best.
exactly what's gonna happen.
Okay, I know that, but I'm going to tell you that what you're going to say, I believe is correct, but it's not what should happen.
Okay.
And this is going to be the Washington win of last night.
Huge game.
Michigan's gonna be number one. Damn good game. We're gonna break that down soon.
Dude,
But
live bet Oregon down at 21-3. It
I
was
did
like
too.
plus
I did too.
1,000 or something like that.
I did too.
Yeah. It was a good fun game to hop in. And after the second quarter, like
You were
second quarter on, good time. First quarter was brutal.
you were on the edge of your seat the whole time with that live bet, dude. I was too. You're glued because you're seeing and you're like, holy crap, they are rocking and rolling right now. And then Washington obviously goes up by 3, then a touchdown. They get that late penalty. Oregon, blah blah blah. We get into it later. This should be the playoff. This should be the playoff. Best team in the nation, regardless record, what they've won, what they've done, is the Wolverines. Free hardball, number one. Michigan should be number one. Number 2, I think after that solidifying win, depending on what happens with the rest of the games today, should be Washington. Number 3 should be Texas. And number 4, possibly you're putting Georgia in out of respect to the back-to-back championships. Possibly you're putting Florida State in. But I agree with the notion. I don't want to see in the last year, and before you answer, hear me out here. This is what I don't want to see in the last year of a Final Four. I don't want to see a spread where a game is a 12-point dog. I want every game to be no more than a 4-point spread. And the way that you do that is by not having Florida State in the playoff. You cannot have Florida State in the playoff. They are not meant, starter or backup, they are not meant to be there, dude, with the guys that they're going against. Yeah. I think that Texas is built to beat anyone. I think that Michigan is built to beat anyone. I think Washington's built to beat anyone. I think that either one of those three teams can win the whole thing. And I'm high on Texas right now. This is Michigan's year to win it. If they don't get it this year, they're done. That fourth team, finally, I'm drawing it out. I think that fourth team, I think two SEC school teams are going to get in. And I think somehow, some way, Georgia's going to be in, Texas at 4. Maybe you're pushing that means that you put Washington at 3. To me, that's the most competitive playoff.
Yeah, Texas isn't in the SEC yet, is it?
Oh, sorry, Pac-12. Excuse me, SEC next year.
Yeah,
but that's the most competitive playoff. Michigan 1, Georgia 2, Texas 3, Washington 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now you tell me what's actually going to happen.
Yeah, that is a lot of things need to happen. Alabama needs to beat Georgia first.
Yes.
I mean, Texas is doing their job and kicking ass right now, which is huge.
Did I lose you?
Florida State, they need to beat Louisville by a good margin to even sniff it at this point. If it's a close game and they struggle with Louisville, they're out. Because I think the biggest thing, which is kind of hindering these like fringer teams now, is because next year it's going to that 12 teams. Yep. Because we don't need it now. We're going to get it moving forward. All these other teams having a chance. I think that this committee wants the closest lines for those semifinal games, where it has been, I think 19 points has been the margins for the average for those games. They want it to be close. They want it to be competitive. And they don't even care about the big name schools. They just want to know that if they put Washington up against Michigan, that'll be a good football game. But if they put Washington up against Alabama or Georgia, I think they get smoked and it would be ugly. So I think it's going to be Georgia 1. It's going to be Alabama's going to lose in a close one, and they're going to get in, play number 3 against number 2 Washington or number 2 Michigan. Washington's going to play Georgia. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be Alabama. It's going to be Georgia. Maybe Washington gives Alabama some fits, and it would be Washington, Georgia in the national championship. But I think that's your best shot at getting one of these underdogs in.
I want to say one thing to that. I don't know where this is coming from because I was having a call with Jack yesterday, and Jack actually might want to get on the pod to talk a little college football playoff. Let me text him right now because he's actually he's probably the most locked in friend that we have to college ball. Let me text him right now. I think you're giving the committee too much credit. You're talking about a committee. Do you want to jump on the pod? You're talking about a committee that I think is more concerned about having a 2-time champion who, frankly, I would compare Georgia's team right now to Florida State. And I'm going to tell you, I've got Bama winning that game by at least 3. I do. I think that they're going to win it.
Over Georgia?
I think that absolutely. Yes. I think that Bama's
this is all coming down to what happens in this Alabama-Georgia game. If Alabama goes and they beat them big time, all right, Georgia's out, then all these other teams can move up. But if that isn't the case, and this is a close football game, comes down to the wire, like many of these SEC title games do, those two teams are getting in. Texas is going to get left out. It will be Michigan. It will be a Pac-12 team in respect of the last title. They're undefeated. They deserved it. 2 great wins over Oregon, close games. They can compete. That's the only way. In this game, where we'll probably put this out, quick turnaround, it should be up around 4:00 at the start of this Georgia-Alabama game. If that game isn't close, it's going to be what I said.
I think that what's BS about that, and I'm really riding the Longhorns. I hate it because I've always considered myself kind of a I'm not a deep college football fan of a single team. I've always loved Tennessee, and I've liked watching Michigan.
You really just like the burnt orange.
I do like the burnt orange. I'm a big hey, I'm wearing it for a reason, dog. I'm wearing it for a reason, dog. But to me, if you don't put Texas in, the committee is openly saying in the last year of a 14 playoff, regular season wins do not matter. Because if Bama beats Georgia, you have got to say Texas had the biggest win of this entire college football season. They beat the only team that beat a team that hasn't been undefeated in the regular season in 3 years.
It's two different timetables. Though. These are two different teams.
I agree with that.
This Alabama team is way different than it was at the beginning of the year.
So
if Texas beat Alabama 4 weeks ago,
yeah.
and they're rolling through the rest of the season, they get that big win over Auburn last week, the miracle play. They go in and they beat Georgia. Then now I'm saying, okay, now is that fair? Do you got to play them when you play them? 100%. I don't disagree with that, but just to see the evolution of this Alabama team over the past 6 weeks now from where they started, everybody was thinking maybe Nick Saban might move on. Like he did everything except get a quarterback. And now Milroe has evolved into a guy that can get you wins and make big plays for you. And this team is just totally different than when they played back in September. I mean, it's
here's what I'm going to say.
Totally different.
And I'm making a huge jump here, but I'm going personally to you because I want you to defend this thing. I had a text exchange where I had to apologize, but I got to ask you this in this term. The Eagles narrowly sneak by with a win at home this past week, 37-34 in overtime in their own house against a team that I think you and I would both argue. You've said they're not a dumpster fire that I have. I'll admit that. But the Bills, in my opinion, should not have been able to put 34 on you guys in your own house. Shit happens, bad weather. You still came out with the win. A win is a win. If you're going to call, you got mad at me because I said that was a Dallas win where you beat up a bad team. If you're going to call
I have an answer to you.
A W, how does that also not apply to Texas?
All right, who's Texas played? Have they played the Chiefs? Did they just come off a Monday Night Football game against the Chiefs? Okay. Short rest. Do they have the 49ers the week after that on short rest again, where the 49ers are catching a couple extra days rest? Do they have Dallas catching a couple extra days rest before that? Did they beat Dallas? Did they beat Miami? Did they, they've gone through these gauntlets of teams that are supposed to be the best in the league.
Fair.
And when you beat the good teams, you can just win those football games. It doesn't matter how. It's when you play the Carolina Panthers, the Patriots. Now, I mean, the Eagles struggled with the Patriots at the beginning of the year, but Mac Jones looked totally different then than he did now, right? And it's a total dumpster fire. You have to beat those teams, those bad teams, with a purpose. You don't have to do that when you're playing the good teams. Okay. You just got to win. And that's what the Eagles have done, where Texas, to their credit, they have been beating the bad teams pretty well off for the most part. Now,
Bama's had a harder schedule too. Bama did beat LSU. Bama did beat Auburn, and Bama did beat Kansas. Was it Kansas that they also beat?
Yeah, Kansas was undefeated.
Kansas was undefeated. Kansas was rocking and rolling. They did get
Ole Miss,
Ole Miss,
Texas A&M.
All right.
Like Tennessee. Harder. You got that SEC schedule baked into their resume. So it's just two totally different, where
I understand. I'm hearing you.
Where Texas is playing a Big 12 record of Rice, Wyoming, Baylor. They did beat Kansas. They lost to Oklahoma. I mean, Houston,
so then here's
BYU.
What I'm going to say, though. Here's what I'm going to say to that, though. If you want to keep things fair, then in my opinion, to your point, Georgia should not be in the playoff. If this is going off of if Bama wins. If Bama wins, it should be Michigan 1, Washington 2, Bama 4, and then that 3 spot is who? Because in my opinion, if you're saying that Bama's a totally different team, okay, don't you think that that's more fair? Because I don't think that Michigan,
even a one-loss Georgia team
is going to get in. That's the thing. They're getting in.
Yeah.
Georgia is in. Georgia is the 2. We already know that, regardless of loss. They're in. So Michigan's now 1, Georgia's 2. That means Washington's 3. Who's the 4 then? Who is the committee going to put in?
My biggest thing that we keep coming back to here is next year it's going to widen. It's these decisions aren't going to be as drastic now, right? Instead of going from that 4, it's going out to that 12, and all these teams are going to get in. These competitive teams are going to get in. And I think they kind of see it that way, honestly, that we can just go run the hits back here. If Georgia, Alabama have their cases, that we can be like, hey, one loss SEC team, they're going to get in no matter what they've been doing for a decade now, where these one-loss SEC teams always will get the benefit of the doubt just because of the competitive nature of that conference.
Yeah.
Why not just run it back one more time and then never have to worry about it again?
Right.
That's my only thing. That's the only reason where they aren't gonna break what's not broke.
So let me ask you this then: if Georgia loses and Georgia's still in, are you saying that solidifies Bama in at 3?
Yeah, if they beat Georgia.
Okay, so then who's 4?
I mean, it would come between Washington and Texas probably then.
And I think you have to give it to Washington because they beat Oregon.
The undefeated season.
I mean, that win by Washington is massive.
Yeah. If you're a Texas fan, you don't want Alabama to win this football game. I don't think.
No, you don't.
Yes, you would be that 4 spot.
You want to be that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then here's my question to you though. And this is where I think that you're disregarding the BS that I believe the committee's going to pull. If Florida State wins out, they have the right to say we're undefeated. Michigan's undefeated. Put us in. Because in all honesty, though I think Michigan's the best team in the country, Michigan's really only win
is Ohio State.
Is Ohio State because Penn State didn't play them close.
Yeah.
They rolled them. They showed that the gap between 3 and 10 was the difference between 3 and 37.
I mean, but just looking at Florida State here too, right? You played week 1 a number 5 LSU team. They didn't deserve to be number 5 to start the year.
No, they did not.
And then your only other ranked opponent victory was Duke at 16. And you beat them pretty good. Now you play who's on your schedule, obviously. And that's just where these conference realignments are going to come into a huge play moving forward.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it goes. It just is. It really is.
So what I'm saying, though, is I think that the committee is more into – I think this is where you and I differ at the end of this, and then I think we make our final decisions of what we think the Final Four is going to be. This is what I'm going to say. You believe that the committee is inclined to create the best playoff possible.
Yes.
And I am telling you that I think that they are going to rely on putting people that deserve it. And they're going to put Florida in. And Florida shouldn't be in. And they're going to put Georgia in. And Georgia should not be in. But Florida, most of all, shouldn't be in. And if they win, they're going to get in. So most likely, here is what I think the honest, real deal playoff is going to look like. What the committee will do, and this is not what I want. This is my honest Final Four. Michigan 1, Georgia 2, Washington 3. And if Florida wins out, Florida at 4. And that only helps Michigan because if Michigan plays Florida, they're going to beat them by 17 points at a minimum. They're going to beat them by 2 tugs. McCarthy is going to be able to play wide. He's going to go off. His game is going to translate so well to the NFL. And if they want to, they'll get to a point where after the first half that they've just thrown the ball, they'll only have to run it. Yeah. And they could shut them out. Because I do believe that in this last year of the Final Four, the committee's going to want to look back and say they didn't care about the spreads. They didn't care about the competitiveness. They cared that they put the teams in that had the best record. Even though when it came to the final notion, those teams really can't put up or shut up in the last dance. And I think that, honestly, I think that playoff would result in a Michigan-Washington championship. Because I think that Washington would beat Georgia.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a lot of what ifs.
I think the way you said how we differ is 100% correct.
Yes.
And that being said, I'm sticking to it. I really do believe it's going to be, I'll move Michigan to that 1 spot. They're going to play, it'll be Michigan. It'll be Georgia, Alabama at 3. Michigan would play the 4, right?
Yes.
It would be Michigan 1, Georgia 2, Washington 3, Alabama 4. They make Michigan put up or shut up against another top SEC school and prove that they're the number 1 team in the country. And then you get your good matchup between Georgia and Washington. That would be a great football game also.
I want to go on record and saying I want what you just said to happen. I just don't think it's going to, but I want what you said to happen because that makes every game fun.
Yeah. The way that happens is Alabama's either got to win or they got to lose close. And then Alabama gets in at the 4. But that's got to happen, and that'll be coming out right as we're putting this episode out live. And I think that's a great way to wrap up this college football talk, Harold.
100%. We might have a special guest coming on later who was in the shower, who now wants to give his opinions, but he's a frontline worker. He'll have to let us know what's going on. All right, dude. Let's you want to talk while we wait and we can jump back on it? Want to talk a little Raven going into the bye week since we don't have a Ravens game to pick on this week?
Yeah, because I don't. If you want a little bit more Birds action, little Eagles talk, go to the BSP podcast and watch the reaction video to that. It's all laid out there for you. But we'll dive more into the Birds coming up here against the 49ers in a little 100%. Bit when we give you our picks. But yeah, give us what's the state of the union for the Ravens here into the bye week? Little banged up, playing good defense. Lamar's figuring it out. You got a couple different running backs that are all starting to emerge again finally. Well, what's the state of this team?
Okay, state of the team is this. And I'm going to say it and I'm going to clip this, and this is it. The Ravens with the guys that took the field in LA, with the personnel that took the field. No one who's injured, aka Marky Ange, no one else, just the guys that took the field. Those guys can undoubtedly make it to the dance. It's official. If you watched the last set of that defensive stretch by the Baltimore Ravens, there is not a better defense right now in the league than the Baltimore Ravens when it comes down to it. There just isn't. And I'd like anyone to tell me who's different. Tell me who's different in leading the middle of the pack outside of Roquan and outside of Patrick Queen. Tell me who's covering the secondary better than Stone and Kyle. And tell me a defensive line that's getting after the quarterback, who's playing real deal teams better than bringing Clowney, who is a bum, off the edge and surrounding everyone, putting them on their ass. Let me know. And let me know how you're handling the Gus Bus, who has an offensive line who's playing. The only other offensive line that's playing in the shadow of the Philadelphia Eagles is the Baltimore Ravens. Let me know. Because the San Francisco 49ers are depending on Christian McCaffrey's athleticism to score you touchdowns. They are not clearing the pathway for him. You look at the Baltimore Ravens, the Gus Bus is clearing the pathway. And dude, let's be accountable here. As Colin Cowherd would say, when Colin was right, when Colin was wrong, when Harry was right, when Harry was wrong, dude, they took Likely out of the block. They took Likely out of the block, and he had 64 yards on the day, dude. Yeah. Bateman is clearly a non-entity, and the Ravens don't care. They're going to battle with a healthy OBJ. They're going to battle without CJ Stroud, who I would argue rookie of the year in Zay Flowers. They're going to battle with Mitchell. They're going to battle with Gus. They're going to battle now with Likely. And to end it out, of the state of the union is this, dude. The Baltimore Ravens are undoubtedly the best team in the AFC. They will make it to the Super Bowl with the personnel they have. And I will keep it as honest as I can. We cannot win a Super Bowl without Mark Andrews. All right, we're going to put a stop in. Ladies and gentlemen, friend of the show, longtime listener. We're getting a face shot right now. We don't know how to react to this. He's got the headphones on. He goes by many names, the Short King, Jackie McGlock for others. He's got a cold one in hand. Let's go.
You already know.
He's our college
got that pull on me.
Football playoff analyst. Jack, we're taking a break from a little Ravens talk. You're catching us at the end. Bring us through your Final Four. Here's our two questions for you. First of all, how are you and where are you?
I'm doing well. I'm calling you out of Burlington, Vermont right now, up north. Okay. It's cold up here, but, we making it. It's a little bleak outside, but.
Bring us through, Jack. First of all, what got you so into college football? What made you such a fan of the sport?
I grew up on a football field. My dad's been coaching for over 40 years now at this point. So I didn't really have a choice in football. So I've just always loved the sport since growing up. But really, I think what kind of got me into college football specifically was going to a Penn State game growing up. It was a whiteout game against Michigan. And I got to see Jabril Peppers play and Saquon play, and just electric game. So that's kind of what got me into college football. But here I am now.
I love that. Here you are now. It's 2023. It's the last year. You know, you've mentioned it. You're a deep fan. Your history goes deep to Mr. McLaughlin. I've had the fortune of getting to meet that man. Great man. I'm loving, by the way, the all black U hat. That is sick.
Thank you. I got this in Miami.
That's sick. Okay, I got to ask you. It's the final year of a 14 playoff. Jack, who do you right now see? We've got Texas winning by a mile. What do you see happening depending on what the outcomes of the games are today? Who's the committee going to put in, and who do you want in? But first, start with who's the committee going to put in? What's going to happen?
Okay, so, I mean, it really all depends on what happens with the Alabama-Georgia game. I think that is the crux of what's going to happen. Because let's say Alabama wins. Michigan's number one.
Clearly.
Washington's automatically number two.
Clearly.
Florida State is going to be 3 because they're undefeated. And then the last spot is between Texas and Alabama.
Okay. Can I pause you quickly before you continue? Because it's funny that you make that point. I got to cut you off because this was the debate between Trilly and I right now. Mm-hmm. Trilly believes, not that this is what he wants, this is what he believes. He believes that the committee is going to want to create the best games with the smallest lines. And what I've gone on to say is I believe that the committee is going to want to look back in their final year of a 14 playoff and be able to say we stuck to our standards and we put the teams in that are most deserving. And if Florida State wins today, they're one of those 4. So my question to you is, where Trilly said that he doesn't think that they're going to get in, and I have said that I don't want them to get in, but I think they will. Why do you think the committee is going to rely on that undefeated streak? Because you and I, all 3 of us are of the opinion, Florida State's going to get murked if they're in.
They absolutely will. But I think at the same time, you cannot put a team that has a loss above them. You know, it's unfortunate, but Florida State for most of the year has been balling out, but, you know, they played a weaker schedule. I think the really interesting piece will be to see whether the committee picks Texas or Alabama in that 4 spot if Alabama wins. And I understand the thinking behind picking Texas. However, I'm of the opinion that Alabama has been playing much better football for the second half of the season, especially since week 5. And I think one of the key things to understand is and you're going to say I'm giving the committee too much credit here, but Texas's schedule, besides Alabama's win in week 2, has been pretty weak. They've had a pretty light schedule compared to Alabama and everybody else.
Truly brought that up as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, who is Texas's best win besides Alabama? Would it be Oklahoma State?
No.
Yeah. Like
if it would have,
Kansas, I think, was ranked 24 when they beat them. Okay. Yeah. So they were ranked when they beat them, but you know, that's about it. Alabama has quality wins, and Georgia will be the quality win of the year.
So, Trill, you want to jump in?
No, I mean, I think Jack and I have been saying a lot of the same things, honestly.
Outside of the Florida State,
Other than that's what I was going to get to. Other than the Florida State, I just think with that schedule, I don't think an undefeated team matters if they don't have the stuff behind them that the committee can go. They can play Michigan, they can play Washington to the 4th quarter. Because I really think they want especially when next year the field is going to be so much more wide open. Then of course, an undefeated team is going to be a top 4 seed, a top 5 seed next year. But with this year being the last 4, they want these first semifinal games to be way closer. They want it to be far more competitive, where if they had their quarterback still, I think they 100% get in. But this isn't a situation where what's his name from Ohio State came in as the backup and they won a national
Cardale Jones.
Yeah, Cardell. Like that team had way more talent up and down that lineup with the wide receivers and the defensive players all on that Ohio State team, where this Florida State just doesn't have the quality wins, doesn't have the quality players behind them to be competitive. And it sucks. It is. I just don't think that they're going to break a system that they've been putting in these one-loss SEC teams over these Pac-12, these Big Ten or Big 12 football teams,
yeah.
ACC, over the past decade now. A one-loss SEC team is going to have far more credit where it's been proven over the last decade to these committees. I don't think they break that here. I think Bama and Georgia both get in, and Texas is going to be on the long outskirts with Florida State. Where
So
next year it would be
different if it was UCF or something that had an undefeated season. You know, I think that the issue is Florida State, you know, the ACC isn't the worst conference, and they had a quality win week one.
If the ACC was last year's ACC, like where it was so bad, yeah, I agree. Go ahead.
But I think like Florida State, they don't have huge quality wins. However, they've beaten LSU. That was a good game, and they beat Duke. Those are two ranked games. It's not like they've been playing an easy schedule, but they haven't been playing complete
dog water. They haven't played dog water. They've played enough to get mentioned, and that's the truth.
Yeah, University
of
Miami, they're not ranked, but they're still a quality team.
And dude, the other truth of the matter is, you know, Trilly and I were having this conversation before. Who beat LSU in that week 3 spot when they were ranked at 5? Who was it, Trill, that we said?
Well, no, it was Florida State week 1.
Florida State beat them in week 1.
Week 1. Okay. And another team that was supposed to be super hot, even though LSU, Trilly and I, before you got on, Jack, had said LSU should never have been ranked at 5. Another team that was supposed to be so dynamic this year that completely fell off was the U. You know, I was so excited for them this year.
Same.
And they totally they played abysmally for what they were supposed to be.
I think it went downhill after that loss they had where they could have just needed out.
Yes.
And
yeah.
So exactly.
I think that what it comes down to is I clearly all three of us on this call, we want the most competitive college football player. There's no question about it. We want that. I think all three of us have somewhat of a difference of opinion and then some cross collaboration of what we think will actually happen. What I want to know is the crux of the conversation is this, which I don't know if all three of us are on the same page, is does Georgia get in with 1 loss? Jack says no, and I say yes. Trilly, where
I would say probably yes. As long as they don't get blown out by Alabama. If it's a close game and they lose, they're in.
And Jack,
you got to give them a chance for a three-peat.
Because Jack, the reason why I bring that up is I'm actually going to go off of the point that I was saying about you and I before, about Florida State, where Trilly doesn't agree that they're going to be in. If you're putting Florida State in undefeated, who again is probably going to be a 12-point dog, the committee is all themselves, though they lost to Bama. We want to see the back-to-back national champion in the race out of respect to those back-to-back undefeated regular seasons and undefeated national titles. And I think that is where, again, the committee, I think the things that the committee can screw the most up on, as you can tell, I'm a big FU to the committee right now. I think that putting Florida State in is bad, and I think putting Georgia in is bad. And I think both are going to go. So why do you think that Georgia's not going to get in, even if they lose? Let's say they lose by 3. Let's say it's 21. Let's say it's 23-20.
I just think that if Alabama wins, there's not room for them at that time. Like, just realistically, I think a loss at the end of the season, right before the playoffs, I think that's pretty big. I think it'd be different if it was earlier in the season, like Alabama's loss was. I think one of the ways that I do see Georgia getting in, even if they do lose, is if Florida State loses to Louisville today, which Louisville isn't a pushover. I think if that they can play. And, you know, Florida State's QB, Jordan Travis, is out. You know, I mean, it's going to be on Keon Coleman. But so I think if Georgia loses, their path to still getting in is Michigan beating Iowa. That's going to be a punt fest. Washington would be number 2 after that. And then the last 2 spots are between Texas, Alabama, and Georgia.
So you still got 2 SEC schools going. Or sorry, excuse me, an SEC and a Pac-12, SEC next year. Okay.
Texas isn't Pac-12; they're Big 12.
Yeah,
Big 12, excuse me.
Big 12.
Come on,
tried
Harry.
correcting
Come
you
on.
earlier.
I'm all over the place. I'm smoking crack. I think Jack, we've had you on, and we've loved you on. We're gonna have you be our correspondent as we come to the Final Four. Let's say it right now. We're gonna end out here. We're gonna close you out because we got to get into our NFL talk. We got to get into our picks. It's a long episode. Right now, actual Final Four and champion as of today. Who's in the Final Four and who's winning it all?
Okay, Final Four for me: Michigan 1, Washington 2. Those are no doubters. Alabama beats Georgia, so I think it's going to be Florida State 3, Alabama 4. I think Alabama can actually take it to Michigan.
Me too.
Depending
That's
on where they
horrible for
play.
Michigan. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
horrible
I
for
think
Michigan.
Alabama's
That's
been
horrible
playing
for Michigan if
the
that happens.
best football for the second half of the season, and I think Michigan this is their year, and I think they're going to choke it. Honestly, I think Washington crushes Florida State, and I think Alabama beats Washington. I think Alabama comes out with the natty.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, Trill. Anything else before we let him go? Let's kick him.
Nah, I love you, brother. I feel Jack and I were on the same page for almost everything. Couple here or there, but I agree with most of everything you're saying there. That's why we bring on the big honchos. We always need those experts to come in and just tell us how we're right, Harold. So
Friend of the show, Jack McLaughlin, friend of the show. Thank you, Jack.
Appreciate it. Let me know if you need anything with college basketball in the future.
We'll see you soon, buddy. See ya.
Fins up, baby.
Fins up. Jeez. That was a great way to end off the college football talk. And now, Trill, I'm going to just hit it with this one last line to bring it back to center, and I'm going to let you go. State of the Union again for the Ravens. Ravens can make it to the dance with the personnel that they got on the field that went to battle in that win on the road against LA. We're going to the bye week. We're going to come back. I think we're going to face a weak team next week, and we can have a big resounding win against the Rams. But to win a Super Bowl, especially in all honesty, if you and I end up lining up against each other, we're going to need that number 1 tight end in the league to be able to win a game like that. We just are.
It would be war.
And if not, it's going to be really hard to win a title. But we're ready for it, dude. Ravens should be the outright pick to win the AFC Championship.
Yeah, no, I love their defense. Teams like the Eagles, honestly, have been going away from those linebacker positions, and it hasn't been a point of emphasis at all for a lot of teams in the NFL nowadays. And the Ravens have done the absolute opposite and having 2 studs in that middle of that defense for 20 years now, right? Whether it's Lewis and Suggs and now Roquan and Patrick Queen, they've always had guys that can cover all of the field. And I think that's a huge reason why that defense is so great, because they can rush the passer, they can stuff the run, and they can cover. I mean, they're just filthy. But yeah, I think you should be feeling good. And I think a lot of that has to do with the Chiefs, honestly, not being as great as they normally are. I'm still a little afraid of them. I'm not for you or for but if they can play these like Miami's and like other decent teams but aren't great, and just to build their confidence on their offensive side of the football, then they might be a little bit of a problem. But I think that Ravens defense can hold their own enough, and they can get it done for sure.
Love to hear it, bro. Love to hear it.
Yeah. All right. What do we want to do, Harold? We want to get into some of our picks, or?
Well, I want to break down
that.
I want to break down that Eagles win, because I do think that we have to clearly say that undoubtedly, and I'm going to go on record in saying this right now, the person that should be winning the NFL MVP without a doubt is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts for back-to-back years is playing. If they win a Super Bowl within the next 2 years, the top 3, he's gonna start to be in that conversation. Can he get into the top 5 greatest of all time? Now, people are gonna say, Harry, you're acting like a homer because Trilly's your boy. He's surrounded by talent. Brady was surrounded by talent while he won the 6. Brady was surrounded by talent. Patrick was surrounded by talent while he won the 2. Aaron was surrounded by talent when he won the 1. Roethlisberger was surrounded by talent when he won 2. You've got to be surrounded by talent to win in this league. I think that what's crazy is I think that the guys that are nipping at his heels for that MVP race is my guy, Ocho. Without a doubt, Lamar Jackson needs to be in that conversation. But Lamar has not had to make a win like that yet, the way that he did against the Bills. And though I don't think that win should have been that tight, I'm going to keep you honest there. I think that you got the job done. I don't think it should have been that tight, but hey, stuff happens. But Dak, yes, is playing his butt off, but he's not beating that good team. Tua would be there if Tua had a quality win. He's not. So I think that, dude, what I want to know is, my biggest worry for you guys is that when we get into this time of the year, defense wins championships. And your offense is having to bail you guys out.
That was my biggest thing, what I was going to say in defense of Jalen Hurts about the talent and everything, right? Because this defense has been giving up some points.
Yeah.
28 to Minnesota, but that was kind of soft at the end. 31 to Washington. They shut down Miami, though. So only 10 points.
No doubt.
One was a pick 6 in that game.
No doubt.
Another 31 to Washington, 23 to Dallas. They shut out Kansas City in the second half the other week, but then they malfunctioned again with 34 against the Bills. But Josh Allen really put the team on his back. But yeah, Jalen, the biggest thing for the MVP races, when you heard Brandon Graham, right? I sent you all the clips. Him mic'd up. It don't matter. You don't know Jalen like I know Jalen. Yeah. Like, he's just like, it doesn't matter. We will get a stop and we will give him a chance and he will win us the football game. That's how confident they are in Jalen Hurts. And that is the most valuable player in the National Football League. When you have a team, your whole team knows, it doesn't matter. We got this guy behind us that'll go right down the football field, and he is just a stone cold killer, man. It doesn't matter who he's throwing to. He's throwing the ball to Olamide Zaccheaus in the back of the end zone with a 11% catch probability. Fuck the prep, but we love the prep in that moment. He's hitting QB draws for the win. The dude is finally getting healthy again with that knee, which I'm a little interested in. I got to take about that for this 49ers game to see what he does with his legs, as he was kind of struggling with that at the beginning of the season with the knee contusion, but it's only up from here. And it's just crazy the amount of doubt that people give this football team that has gone back-to-back years at 10-1 to start the years. And they're saying that they're not for real. They're not legit. Like, they've gone 10-1 in back-to-back football seasons, not over a stretch, not over a period of time, to start the NFL seasons, to go 10-1 in back-to-back years with the same teams for the most part, a little bit of turnover, but with the same quarterback, same head coach. They get it done every single time. I've never seen a team more doubted. Like, it's crazy to me, Harry.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I had some idiot on TikTok. I try not to read the comments all too much, but this guy goes, "Oh, the Eagles are like Minnesota last year, winning these one-score football games." I'm like, are you insane? Did Minnesota go to the Super Bowl last year? Did they go and win 13 football games last year? Right?
They win the NFC.
Did they win the NFC? Did they have an MVP caliber quarterback? Like, none of these things correlate. Just because of one-score football games doesn't mean it's the same exact as them being a fraud like Minnesota was. The cultures are different. Everything is different. And but whatever.
No, I get you, man. I think that those are all good points. I'm ready to get into picks if you are, brother.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right, dude. Let's hit it. I love the Eagles Ravens talk. We're going to do more college football as the playoff progresses. All right, dude. Let's start with our unders and underdogs. And I got to just throw out something real quick. It wasn't a play of the century, but God bless. How about the kid from down the street? We called it, ladies and gents, with the New York MF and Giants. Do you realize that we haven't said an F word this whole show yet?
Yeah, we've been doing well.
Give me some, dog. We make progress on this show, ladies and gents. They covered that 3.5. They got the job done. New England is in shambles. We're going to talk more about what I think that they're going to do as the season closes out, but that's a conversation for another time. Let's start with our unders and underdogs, dude. Ravens on a bye. Your Birds, I don't know if you want to start with this one. They're catching 3. I want to get into that in a little bit, but do you got a pick to start?
Yeah. Other flip side. of that stadium there up in East Meadowlands or whatever the hell it's called, East Rutherford.
Wait a
It
second.
was the Meadowlands, the stadium, whatever.
You're not
East
doing
Rutherford.
this.
What?
You're not doing what I think you're doing, are you?
Jets 1.5. They're gonna beat the Falcons.
Let's go. We're opening the show with an earthquake, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. Jets plus the 1.5. Everyone knows I've been the Jets whisperer this season. Has it all panned out? I can't say it has, but I love the Trill's tailing it. Jets plus the 1.5. All right.
Home
Dom.
game. They need this win to get Aaron Rodgers back. If they lose this game, he's not coming back. This defense knows they have to step up and make plays, because if you get one more win, Ocho's going to play next week. I bet Ocho will play if they get this win.
What's the point though of that? Well,
they still got a shot. They do.
got a shot. If the Browns keep losing, they're in.
Yeah. So
If the-
Browns have a
yeah.
chance to lose this week also with Joey Flacco. As much as we love him, he's elite. They got a shot of losing.
Friend
there.
of the show. Friend of
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah,
Friend
big
of the
friend.
Big
Delco
friend.
native, you know.
All right, I'm gonna hit it with my my second underdog since we were trailing right there. Dude, you know, I think that this is the time where they come to play and it's gonna keep going. Denver plus the 3 on the road, dude. They're hot. Sean's figured it out. I think that the Texans are the real deal. I think the Texans win this game, but I think that the Broncos cover. I like Denver here. I think that Russell and Sean somehow have figured out what needs to happen. By no means are they elite. I think that they're going to win the next, 6 games left in the regular season. I don't know if they're going to go on a 6-game, win streak, keep it going, keep it alive, maybe a playoff contender. No, I don't believe so. But I do think
I'm losing you.
Texas is the real deal. I think that they're at home. I think they snuff it out after that hard loss against the Jags. The Texans are the real deal, but Broncos cover. Denver plus the 3.
Yeah, I kind of like Houston there, but I'm not going to touch it just because that defense has been so red hot.
Yeah.
The Texans haven't been turning the football over. The Denver will make you turn the football over, so it'll be a nice clash in that football game. My second one, I just looking at this game, Colts have been hot. They've been rolling with Gardner Minshew at Tennessee.
This is
no Jonathan Taylor. This has a Vrabel win all over it.
All over it. I was thinking the same thing, bro.
Dude, another earthquake. I'm going 1.5.
Earthquake.
Yeah, Tennessee.
This is ridiculous. All right, double earthquake. That leaves you, dude, with your last pick.
Oh, and then, I mean, if this wasn't the most obvious pick ever that I was ever going to take here, I mean, it's just out of disrespect. A team that's 10-1 on their home turf where they absolutely dominated and smoked this team previously, and then NFC Championship game to get to the Super Bowl, to be catching 3 points at home, 10-1, best team in the league, to be catching 3 points is criminal. I don't care who's on the other side of that football field. It should be a pick 'em, not 3 points.
I agree.
And the Eagles are going, they may lose. I'm not saying they won't. It can get ugly. The 49ers are a good football team, but everything built up into this game for the past year now, go ahead, Brock, prove everybody wrong. But guess what? Was he healthy going into that game last in the NFC Championship game? Yes, he was. He was healthy going in. What happened? He didn't leave the link. And they're not leaving the link with a win. Birds by a million. Let's fucking go, Harry.
So let me ask you though, because this is a money making show first and foremost when it comes to the picks. We
first
give the
F-bomb
people
on the
real
podcast
advice.
too, by the way.
Own it. Here's my question to you, dude. Why are the Eagles at home catching 3?
I just think it's because
Is it
the games
because
have
of
been
what
so
happened?
close. Yeah.
Okay.
Lane Johnson's a little banged up, but he's supposed to play. Fletcher Cox is a little banged up. The Eagles secondary hasn't been lights out for the money that they've been making in Slay and Bradbury. Everybody's hyping up this defensive line with Chase and Bosa now. But I just love this Eagles offense, the resiliency that I have so much confidence in this team just to come out and just against the Chiefs. That was a built-up game that you saw Nick Sirianni go, How about now, Kansas City? At the end of that,
Yeah.
that's what the 49ers are feeling going into this football game. But I don't think they have enough leaders, enough stone cold killers on that team to get over that hump of keeping it composed until the end of the game. They're going to come out and they're going to try to put all that emotion out there. And this Eagles team is just going to take it. They might be down by 10 points at halftime, but they're going to come out that second half. They're going to look at each other in the eyes and be like, we're good, boys. Let's go out there and dominate this second half. And that's why I really feel so great about this team, even just to cover the 3. It'll be a close football game.
100%.
Now, we were talking earlier in the podcast, real early before the college football, the same game parlays have been hot. I know this football team up and down. I want to know what you think about Jalen's legs are kind of getting healthy again. It's going to be a rainy Sunday afternoon at the Link.
Jalen's getting 2, in my opinion.
2 tugs, 80 yards on the ground.
You know that Jalen's going to throw a bomb to AJ that's going to set up the tush push. That's an automatic.
Yeah, or Devontae, yeah.
Or Devontae, but I think it's going to be AJ. AJ's tired of people sleeping on him, dude.
He's been quiet the last couple weeks.
People have not been showing this dude enough respect. Like Exactly. He's had not hot weeks. We saw earlier in the season that exchange where people were making too much out of it, where they were yelling at each other. That's what players do. It's fine.
The guy had opened the season with 7 games in a row, 125 yards.
Exactly.
And then he's going to go quiet for a couple. That's just the way the NFL works.
Exactly. Here's what I'm trying to say. I like for Jalen to score. I like the 80 rushing, but I wouldn't touch. Is it Swift is your running back?
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch Swift. I don't think that any real progress comes from the run game for the Eagles in this game. I think it's going to be all air and Jalen's feet.
Yeah, I think Jalen's feet's going to be huge. I love the Eagles' rush defense on the flip side against McCaffrey in this game.
Yeah.
I think the big dudes in the middle of this defensive line and Carter and Davis, they eat the run up, man.
Yeah.
If they try to run in between the tackles, they will get demolished. So I kind of like the unders for McCaffrey on the ground. I think he'll get involved in the air a little bit where our linebackers are a bit softer and they can take advantage of that. And I'm a little afraid of that, but it'll be a good football game here. I love Jalen, 80 yards rushing, 2 tugs, 200 through the air, 5 to win, 132.
I'm taking that. I'll take that. Send that to me and I'll take that.
A little fun. A little fun for you. You can bet as much as you want on it, but plus 2,500 on it there on the ticket. So
let's talk about it, dude. I think that this might be the easiest pick of the year. Clearly, the NFC is not a competitive conference. It's only got 2 real teams. We saw it last week with that goose egg that the Lions laid, but it doesn't matter. They're going on the road against a team that I've been bashing all year. I was never for them. I was never for the Saints. I always said that they were horrible. I never said that they were going to be anything. Lions minus the 4.5.
Oh, okay.
Lions minus 4.5.
When's Jameis getting in there, man? We need Jameis. Derek Carr is brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Carson. You like that? The minus 4.5? I mean, dude, they're coming off a bad loss.
It's weird. It's a 4.5's weird. I feel like you don't see that very often.
I think that you're getting 4.5 because I think that this spread would be above 6, but it's because they lost in Lambeau. Or sorry, it's because they lost at home against Lambeau.
At home. Yeah.
At home.
Yeah.
And how that happens, I don't know. I think that it's a phrase that I obviously depend on. People hear me say it, and I probably overuse it. Act like you've been there before. Detroit doesn't know how to do that. They don't know how to do it yet. They know how to win games, but they don't know how to go out and stomp you out and let you know that we've won before. And you lose to an in-division rival, but I like them here, minus the 4.5. Is that where all the money is? Am I drinking Kool-Aid?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of everybody's looking, they're only catching that many, I love the Lions there. They could blow them out, right? But then that defense kind of comes to play a little bit. That's from the same side of the ball, and it could get ugly. But I just don't see that offense for the Saints really putting up much. I think Olave and what's his name, Michael Thomas, are questionable going into the game. So I mean, what is Taysom Hill going to put up 14? Alvin Kamara. I just don't. Yeah, I think it's the right pick going with the Lions.
Yeah.
So what, we're in favorites
We're in
and
faves and
overs.
overs, babe. Yep.
Um, this is an ugly one, but I'm gonna do it. Pittsburgh finally gets out
Wow.
and fires that head coach. Did you see the stats of when
Fires
Matt
the offensive
Canada?
coordinator.
Yeah,
Offensive
the
coordinator.
offense
Yeah.
coordinator. What did I say?
Yeah. I had coach Mike
Yeah,
Tomlin.
yeah. No,
He's
sorry.
gone.
Yeah, sorry. I meant the OC.
Yep.
But yeah, they fire Matt Canada, and the stats of the last time they had over a 400-yard game was the week before they hired Canada, and they hadn't had one until last week when they fired him. So
Yep.
this offense has so much potential. And I know you're not a Kenny Pickett guy. I've always been a Kenny Pickett guy. I think they can sling the ball a little bit here. I think the Cardinals, they can put up some offense too with Kyler back in there running the football around, James Conner. Little nervous about the Steelers defense shutting them down, but I like the over 41.
Wait, I thought you were going to take the point because that's what
No.
dude. I like the over as well.
Yeah.
I think, dude, the earthquakes this show is sensational right now. No, I agree with everything that you said, just solely based on Mike Tomlin is going to want to show why we got rid of this guy.
Yeah.
We got rid of him because we can score more than 15 points. And I think that what we've seen is that the Cardinals defense can let up too many points, but they can come to play, and vice versa. And the truth of the matter is Kyler has got to show ending out this season
why
that
they
he
shouldn't
needs to
try to
stay.
get Caleb Williams or
Correct.
Drake May. Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
He does. He needs to be able to air it out, dude. I like that. I'm tailing it with you. Over 41.5. Hit me with another one, bro.
We took them as our earthquake locks last week, and I think they're going to keep rolling here. Kansas City -6 over the Green Bay Packers. Packers had a big win Thursday morning, well, afternoon, I guess, for some people, early afternoon over those Lions. But Kansas City, they started it off slow last week against the not 49ers. I just got them on the brain on the Raiders, and they came out and then they just stomped them after that. I think that this Packers team isn't that great. I think this Chiefs team starting to click a little. Kelsey's going to have a big day. And I just don't see that. I just don't see them getting stopped by the Packers defense.
So here's my question to you. I like this pick. I was thinking about taking it. At the same time, I think that the Chiefs' identity this season has been drop passes. And I'm not saying that they can cover the 6. Both the teams are used to cold weather. This is a November game in Lambeau. It's his first time in Lambeau. My question to you is, I'm thinking about going backwards and changing one of my picks. Do you like the under in this game at under 42.5? Because this reads to me as a 17-3 win. Kelsey having 2 and a kick and a field goal and a lot of drop passes by both teams, and Green Bay only putting 3 on the board.
Yeah, because I think Green Bay's offense will continue to struggle. They had a big week last week, and they were starting to figure it out. But this Chiefs team is legit. Like this defense, the defense is legit. This is the best defense that they've had with Mahomes under center. They're going to come to play, and primetime unders are huge with this being a Sunday night game.
All right, I'm holding it. Never mind. I got to give a different pick. There we go. Never mind. All right, so I know what I'm doing. All right, let me give my next fave and over. Let me give my next fave and over. You know, man, I want to touch this Miami game so bad, 9.5, but this is a hot weather team playing in cold, crappy weather in Washington. You know, the over-under's 45.5. I don't know if I can touch that, bro. Can they still win by 10 even if they don't score 30? Or does this Washington team keep it close? I'm just so weather dependent on this game.
Oh, wow. Sorry.
I'm just so weather dependent here. Miami on the road, -9.5 to the Commanders. But this is a hot weather November team playing in the cold in Washington. Can they cover that?
Good question.
I don't know.
A lot of points.
A lot of points. Steve.
I like Sam Howell. He's the next Peyton Manning when he plays the Eagles.
Sam, they need to build around this kid, dude. They do.
Yeah.
They really he's the real deal for this team right now. I think I got to go with a team that's hot. Prime time.
Miami's defense has been playing well though. It has been. You lost
You're
your
right.
DN and Phillips, but you got back your corners. They're playing pretty well.
Their
The
offense is ready to
offense,
rock.
well, the offense has been struggling the last couple of weeks, but they're looking to break back out again with Hill and Waddle
Big
kind of
spread.
getting healthy again.
9.5 is tough, dude. It's
It's a
tough.
lot. It's a lot. It is. But I think they're one. The Commanders are. I'm surprised Ron Rivera didn't get fired after they got blown out on Thanksgiving. You had the opposing team hiding turkey legs in the stupid in the cauldron, and you didn't get fired after that. Like, I
Yeah.
feel like they're just waiting for that knockout punch just to just be like, all right, Ron, it's time for Bieniemy to step in here for the rest of the season, and that could be this game. Miami puts up a bunch of points, it gets ugly, and Rivera's just standing on the sideline, not saying a damn word, and he's just like, yeah, I'm
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. No, I'm not. I'm taking a Miami minus the 9.5. I got
I
a
was like,
ride.
did you want me to talk you into it or out
They're
of it?
there. I don't love that pick. No, that's what I can't decide. I don't love it, but I think that this is a game where this is what I would call this is a Dallas win for Miami, where they separate again. You're so right in that they have been struggling. They need to stay top of mind to be in that top 5 conversation in the AFC. They're clearly winning the East. I don't like the over though. I'm going to say that. I don't think that gets close. If they're going to cover this spread, it's going to be a 20-10, a 20-7. Miami in this weather in November is not scoring 30 points, but I do think that they still outscore Miami minus the 9.5.
Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, I like it. My last over, my last one. I was saying primetime unders are big, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. But 38.5 on Monday night between Jacksonville and the Bengals. I think Jacksonville can score 38 themselves. Am I crazy to think that Jacksonville can put up 38 on Monday Night Football?
So well, because if you're saying that, I was going to take Jacksonville minus the 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if I exchange that for that Miami pick. But you like the over more.
I mean, I like Jacksonville too, but I just think that over is just so tempting. And you know how I hate primetime unders. So I'm just going to keep betting it. And,
all right.
And they're hot lately. Thanksgiving, my cousin Shane was very quiet. This past Thursday night football game, he was very quiet. All right, so let's keep the good vibes rolling here on prime time. Now let's keep putting up some points. I think that Boyle can get you a touchdown or two just because of Jamar Chase throwing a ball to him, getting the ball in his hands. And I think Trevor Lawrence and Dougie P are finally starting to click now that Trevor's healthy, which nobody kind of knew until the other week, which is insane to me that they didn't have to say anything about that. But now that they're finally starting to click on offense again, T-Law's healthy. I think that they blow him out, but give me that over.
I'm switching my pick. I'm taking Jacksonville. I like what you said. I think that that was a big win for them last week in kind of putting Texas in their tracks and letting them know, hey, we're still here. We're still here to play for the AFC South. You're not the new hot young gun, even though you are. We're going to play you each year in and year out, and we're going to split, if not take you both times. I'm taking Jacksonville minus the 8.5. Now we're into our locks. I kind of previewed it before. I'm going for it. I'm rolling with it. Under 42.5. Again, I think this is a 17-3 win. Under 42.5. KC first time in Lambeau against the Packers. And I will also say, I would kind of drizzle in if you want to go crazy with that. With that same team parlay that we were talking about before, I definitely throw Travis in for an anytime tug alongside Jalen with the.
Yeah, I've been waiting on the weather girl to let us know because she's been red hot all year to give us a pick for a touchdown.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Kind of goes against one of my picks, but not so much. She likes Zach Moss anytime touchdown, starting to get more carries again with Jonathan Taylor out. I like that. In Tennessee, I can see it being a low scoring game, but Moss has been catching the ball out the backfield. He started the year hot with no Taylor. I like it.
Hit me with your lock, brother.
My lock. Man. This is the only one that I was kind of I was feeling out where you were feeling out all these games just to see if I kind of confirmed.
It's a hard week.
Yeah, confirmed anything more in my mind. And it's an ugly one just because I don't like this team at all, really. And I think they are a little bit of frauds, but they're also playing a team that's just so bad too. But give me Chargers 5.5 against the Patriots.
I don't like that pick, man.
No, you don't like it?
I want to talk you out of that. I mean, listen, you've been hot, so I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But the thing that I'm going to say is there is too much worry in that Chargers room right now. And this is a big spread for them specifically to cover.
I mean, all they got to win is by a tug here. My biggest thing is I just don't see the Patriots being able to score points. I just
Fair
don't.
enough.
So even if the Chargers only put up 14, 17 points, I don't see them scoring more than 10.
LAC minus 5.5. All right, we're taking it. On to the parlay. But before we do that, dude, you know what's one thing that we haven't talked about that we got to say before we end out this show? Which bird uniform is Ertz going to be wearing?
Oh, yeah.
Is he going to be a Raven or is he going to be re-signed to the Eagles, dude?
Yeah, it's a good question. I love Zach Ertz. The guy has 2 of the biggest plays in Eagles history, most receiving yards, catches in the franchise. And I think that means a lot to him, honestly. It really does. Like, he was here throwing out first pitches during the playoffs for the Phillies. Him and Julie still live here. They have great connections, charity work. But that being said, I just don't see it being a fit for the Eagles with Goddard probably coming back in a week. So I just don't think you bring him in just as be like, hey, Zach, you're just kind of hanging out on the side here. I want to see Zach succeed and do well, and I would love for him to do well down in Baltimore. So I think he goes to Baltimore.
Do you think that he would be would he be agile enough in where he's at in his career to be better than likely? Like, could he be that guy to facilitate before Andrews?
Yeah, I mean, you can put Ertz and Andrews out there together. Honestly,
that would be
Ertz is an offensive weapon. He still is. He's not going deep or anything, but he's crafty. He gets open. He's not going to break tackles like Andrews in the slightest, but he knows how to get those 5-7 yard pickups when you need them. He's got sure-handedness, and he's just another guy that hey, if Lamar needs that safety blanket, bang, there's Ertz, and he'll get you 10.
Yeah.
So he's not the bestest of blockers. And the thing is, when it comes down to him coming to the Eagles, they would need him to play special teams, and he's just not going to do that.
Right.
That was the only way that he would fit on this Eagles team is if he played special teams and if he was cool with that second tight end spot where he could block, and he's just not a blocker. Never has been.
Let's go to the parlay, dude. I think we're both kind of here. I think the first pick that we got to put in is Jags minus the 8.5.
Okay. Like it. Do we rock with some of the earthquakes?
Which one do we like the most, dude? I like that Tennessee pick a lot.
I like the Tennessee pick.
Do we do both? Do we do both of the dogs? Do 2 bad football? Do we do Titans and Jets, 2 awful football teams in the parlay?
That's why I'm kind of like, oh, I do like them. I do like them a lot.
I do too. Both of them are 1.5 point spreads, bro. Like I like them both here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like them both to win the football games. And then
hold on. That is sizzly for the parlay. Do we take both of their money lines?
Honestly, it might be worth it.
I mean, that could be crazy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, right now with the 3 picks, 15 would get you a 111 plus 740. That's just with 3.
That's Jags. Yeah, okay.
And then I don't know. What do we think for the last one here?
I mean,
we go Detroit.
No, they've burned us too much. I'll tell you what, man. I mean,
Birds money line for the culture.
No, there's too much. There's too much for that game.
That'd be pretty sexy.
Do we ride them? Do we ride them again? And do we do Browns?
Oh, that's disgusting. I'd rather bet the birds, dude.
That would be the grossest smelling parlay we've ever created. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Because there's no way all three of those bad football teams are gonna win, right?
We're gonna win. You're right. So my question is, do we do I like, I mean, I like the point that you made about the Pittsburgh Cardinals game. Do we take that over at over 41?
I feel like that's yeah. I like that one.
I like that one too. That's 225, baby.
I think I'm gonna do a hungry dog parlay though after this and do Birds, Browns, Jets, Titans, just separate.
Dog. I'll ride
Yeah.
that with you. I'll take all money line or spreads.
Money line.
Out of respect. Out of respect. All right.
Yeah, that would be pretty sexy.
Now, before we solidify the final pick of the parlay, here's the only thing that I'm going to ask you. Do we believe more as a collective unit, not believe more in this Arizona Pittsburgh over, or do we believe in the primetime under in KC Green Bay? What do we think hits more? I'm going to say, I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going to go Cardinals Pittsburgh here for what we've created.
All right, I'm in.
Okay, that's it. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We got money line all around with the Jets, with Tennessee, Jags minus the 8.5, and the over 41 straight up in Cardinals v Pittsburgh. Stay tuned for next week. It's going to be a great show. And Trill, if the people want to ride it with us, tell us the other parlay we're doing.
What? Oh, we're going Birds. We're going Titans, Jets, and we're going the Brownies and Joe Flack for the second one.
I feel like Joe Flacco today. Let's do this, dude. All right, we'll see you all next week. Cold ones. We're out.
Go Birds.